Just a couple weeks ago, I sat here in this very chair and I talked about the fact that if Kevin Holland were to ever face off with some of the men at the top of the division that have the grappling and wrestling skills of a Khamzat Chimaev, Shavkat Rakhmonov, etc., that he would absolutely be smashed in there. Well, guess what? We're going to see that take place tomorrow night. As you guys know, a major shakeup to UFC 279. I can't remember anything ever happening like this before. Of course, we've had some last-minute fights take place and some last-minute shakeups, but I can never think of a time where we had three of the biggest fights in the card. In fact, the three biggest fights on the card all being swapped around and moved around in a different way, and having three new fights. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. The masses do agree with me, at least from what I see on Instagram, that this is for the better of the card. Kevin Holland now taking on Khamzat Chimaev. This is a better fight, in my opinion, than Khamzat versus Nate Diaz. We all thought that Khamzat was going to smash Nate. We heard about the beef that's been going on and the scrap that went on yesterday with Khamzat and Kevin Holland. Now we get to see them square off. Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. Maybe this was the fight that was supposed to take place the entire time. Two legends, two of the most exciting fighters to ever fight in the UFC. And then we have the Leech taking on D-Rod. What a perfect matchup that is. Two scrappy fighters that I really feel will work together in a beautiful way inside the octagon. I think that when they go to battle, that they will really feed off each other, and I think that fight will be a very entertaining fight as well. So let's not sleep on that fight, because that's a real barn burner. And big shout out to the Leech for taking that fight as his opponent weighed in 10 pounds heavier than him. All right, let's take note of that. I mean, big shout out to the Leech. Everyone's talking about all these prima donnas at the top of the card. Are they going to accept the fight? This and that. You got a guy like the Leech that's just sitting there quietly and just willing to jump in there and fight with anybody. And big shout out to the Leech here. So, of course, we're just going to be brushing upon the three newly added fights. We're going to be giving our predictions here. And we'll talk about some other things as well. We'll make this show quick and entertaining. This one's a little bit different than some of my other videos because I'm filming this Friday night late. Just got back from the bar, had a few drinks, had a little dinner, and I got a nice cigar here ready to go after this video. And you guys know that I'm going to be smoking on a lot more than this cigar this weekend. You guys know I got somebody else that I'm going to be smoking on, Big Mouth. I'm going to be lighting you up tomorrow night. UFC 279, the shake-up. Let's get it.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
Jingliang Li, the Leech, taking on Daniel Rodriguez, D-Rod. Again, of course, all these three fights I'm talking about are essentially last-minute type fights. These are newly matched up type of fights. So none of these fighters have been preparing specifically for their opponent. Jingliang Li, we know that this is a fighter that favors his striking, and he really favors going in there and knocking his opponents out. Daniel Rodriguez is a fighter that has shown time and time again that he is as tough and as durable as they come. Take note, out of all 18 professional fights that he's had, only tasted defeat twice, and has never been knocked out, never been TKO'd, never been subbed. In fact, both those two losses via decision. So a very durable fighter. That's something that's kind of going against the Leech here. Whereas his initial opponent in Tony Ferguson was a fighter that was coming in to their matchup, being very vulnerable, coming off that devastating knockout against Michael Chandler. There was a realistic possibility that the Leech was going to go in there and put him out. In fact, that's how I thought that fight was going to go. This is very different here. There's something worth noting. Daniel Rodriguez weighed in at 179 pounds today, while the Leech weighed in at 170 pounds. That's a major difference in weight there. D-Rod is also the taller fighter. I believe he has a 2-inch reach advantage as well. He's the more rangy fighter. Looks to be coming into this fight in phenomenal shape. That being said, I don't want to sit here. I'm kind of spitting off a narrative, obviously, towards D-Rod's way. I have a lot of respect for the Leech, and specifically, I have a lot of respect for him for taking this fight. Everyone's been talking about which fighters are going to accept these fights. You know, there was the conversation about Kevin Holland, if he was going to take the fight, whether it was a main event fight or not, if Nate Diaz was going to take the fight with Khamzat originally, this and that. A guy like the Leech is down to fight anybody, and those types of fighters we give a salute and major respect to. The Leech is a dangerous fighter. I think that he's live to really go in there and knock out anybody. I think that if the Leech lands the right shot, I think he carries a lot of power and can shake up anybody. We know that even though a fighter has never been knocked out, that doesn't mean anything. Any fighter can have their day if they get hit with the right shot. I think percentage-wise, though, it's very rare that we're going to see the Leech go in there and starch a guy like D-Rod. Fights that go to decision, the Leech has won a couple of those as well, but the ratio is not nearly as good as it is in fights where there's a knockout taking place in this fight. So if it does go to a decision, I think that there's a little bit more of a lean towards D-Rod's way. In fact, I really do believe that. Again, that size advantage that D-Rod has. D-Rod has underrated wrestling, underrated grappling, although I don't really see this fight taking place in that type of situation. I think that this is going to be a fight that's going to deliver on the feet. I think both men are going to go at it. The crowd's going to be going crazy. This is the setup to the big two fights coming up after it. And I think that these fighters are going to go in and they're going to look to put on a show. And I think it's going to favor Daniel Rodriguez. I think that Daniel Rodriguez is going to give some slight issues to the Leech with the southpaw stance. I think that he's a little bit of an awkward striker. He gives some of his opponents some trouble at times with the way that he fights. He has kind of a herky-jerky southpaw type stance. He's very tough, as I mentioned. And I got to lean D-Rod's way. We'll take a look at the betting line here. The Leech is a plus 125 underdog. So he goes from being a hefty favorite against Tony Ferguson to now going into this fight as a dog, while D-Rod is a minus 150 favorite, where he was just an underdog himself when he was going to be taking on Kevin Holland. So both fighters getting a little bit of a different type of opponent and a couple of different ways. But again, my pick is going to be Daniel Rodriguez here, and I'm taking D-Rod to win this fight via decision. I think this is going to be a very entertaining fight. I think it's going to have a high pace in the feet, but I don't really see either man getting a finish. I think both men are durable, they're tough, and I think that they both survive. Now, if we were to see a knockout, believe it or not, I do feel that I favor the knockout coming more so from the Leech. And again, that's even with D-Rod having never been put up before. But the Leech is a fighter that really goes in there headhunting. He throws a lot into his shots. He's looking for that knockout. D-Rod's looking for that finish as well, but he'll also pepper you up. D-Rod has underrated striking overall. He'll hit you with some nice leg kicks. He'll pepper you up, and he'll point fight you as well. He'll mix things up. He'll make things dirty in the clinch. He'll hit you with some uppercuts. And I see D-Rod outpointing the Leech. That is my pick. From a betting standpoint, do I want to say there's some value at the Leech at plus 125? I do, but I think I would more so target D-Rod even at the minus 150 line over the dog value on the Leech, because the minus 150 line is really not that bad. And I see D-Rod getting this fight done more so than the other way. And again, remember now, D-Rod came into this fight, came into the weigh-ins today essentially 10 pounds heavier. He already has the larger frame, the larger reach. He's an inch taller with a 2-inch reach advantage, and he looks to be in just about as good shape as we ever seen him. Here we go. Khamzat Chimaev taking on my arch nemesis, Kevin Holland. The teller has moved up in the world these days. I used to be beefing with guys like Egghead Brian Kelleher, a.k.a. the guy from Sin City that was yellow and had his head squashed. Nowadays I'm on to bigger and better things, right? Kevin Holland, a little bit of a bigger name in the game. We talked about the fact that he has a 500,000 followers on IG. The teller's creeping up on that 8K there. But we all know that the teller is fast on his heels there. I'm fast on his track, and I will be passing him up hopefully in the next couple of years. We'll have an update on that, but keep those follows coming to my IG, MMA fortune teller _. But we obviously have that beef, and I want to clarify a couple things, right? Because when I was reporting some of the things that were going on today, A couple of you guys, a couple of the haters came out the woodwork and you were coming at me. And one thing I do want to say on a serious note is that whatever I try to report to you guys, I do have a couple of insiders, and whatever I'm reporting to you guys, it's for real. And I try not to be biased with my stuff here. Something that I caught wind of and I was talking about, and it was via Kevin Holland's Instagram story. He said verbatim that he was not going to be fighting on UFC 279 unless he was the main event, and it was a 5-round fight. When I saw that and that was going viral, my initial thoughts were he is 100% trying to duck Khamzat Chimaev. Now think about this clearly right now. Initially, he was supposed to be fighting Daniel Rodriguez. It was not a 5-round fight. He was never training for a 5-round fight. It was far from a main event, right? It was a couple spots down. It was the co-main event. And all of a sudden now you're not fighting on this card unless you're the main event, unless it's a 5-round fight. To me, that smelt clear as day that he was scared to take this fight, and I still do believe that. And I want to point out another thing too. At the stare downs, you saw them grab the mic. Joe Rogan asked him, is this a better matchup for you? And he flat out admitted, and kind of, you can also say, he was just being real, but no, you could hear the tone in his voice. You could smell the fear. He said, not whatever he said, run the tape. Nah, not really. Nah. He said it like he was kind of cool joking, but you could tell what's up, and you see where he's coming from. And listen, I don't blame him, and he has a killer in front of him. And we all know that his takedown defense and his grappling is not up to par with Khamzat Chimaev. Just because you go in there and you stuff some takedowns from Tim Means and older Tim Means that never even really had that good of wrestling. I mean, he was a decent. Tim Means nothing but respect. But listen, we're talking about a major step up. This fight reeks of Khamzat Chimaev getting the takedown and really putting it on Holland here. And it's going to be ugly because that they have the beef now. Holland was chirping, trying to act slick, talking about he was going to shave off his beard. Well, guess what? Now, and you took this fight because you had to take this fight, okay? Some of you Holland backers said, now he took the fight. He had to take this fight. All reports were Nate Diaz and Ferguson was solidified well before this fight was solidified. The Leech versus D-Rod was locked up right away. My insider source had me knowing that very early on. That fight was agreed by both men right away before any of them. That fight was happening, okay? What fight do you think happened last? Kevin Holland versus Khamzat Chimaev, and I can 100% guarantee you it was on Kevin Holland's side of things. Khamzat was chomping at the bit for this fight. Kevin Holland was the last man to accept the fight, and I'm telling you, it's because he fears this man. If he had to take this fight, if he did not take this fight, think about it. He would literally lose all his stardom, all the support he gets from all the fans. He would literally turn into the worst enemy of the fans. If he did not take this fight, he would have put a stain on this card. You know how the fans are. We want to see the action. We want to see entertainment. And he had no choice but to take this fight. And that's facts. All right. So whether you want to say I'm biased because I owe Kevin Holland $20K, which is, don't even get me started with all that. We had some fun with that. Some of you guys are probably joking, but if you're serious, you're crazy. And Kevin Holland now is a deer in the headlights. Okay. Kevin Holland has to land a knockout blow in the first minute of this fight, the first 30 seconds of this fight. He has to land a crazy and wild shot. He should be looking to land a flying knee, a wild overhand right that maybe he catches Khamzat behind the ear as he's coming in. If he does not land that knockout, he's in major, major trouble right now because Khamzat Chimaev has him on his radar. And Khamzat right now is as hungry as he's ever been, and he doesn't like this man, and he's going to go in there and he's going to punish him. And that's what's going to happen in this fight. That's exactly what's going to happen in this fight. I'm going to cut to the chase. Both men entering the primes of their career here in the near future. Both of these men, young, full of testosterone. Khamzat with an inch height disadvantage, almost 6'3". We know Holland has that long, that very tall height. Well, Khamzat's right behind him there. With the reach, though, Kevin Holland does have a 6-inch reach advantage. Again, he's going to need to land a quick shot as Khamzat comes in because the distance will be closed. Khamzat will get a hold of him. You think what Blonde Brunson was doing to him in their fight when they were tired and he was getting those easy takedowns was something. You guys have no clue what you're about to see tomorrow. Some of you guys do have a clue, but there's some of you guys that have no clue. And some of you guys have been in my DMs and you've been coming at me. And you're going to have a rude awakening tomorrow if you don't realize that Khamzat's going to go in there and he's going to punish him. It's going to be a brutal beatdown. And Khamzat, is going to get the finish here. I think he gets the finish within the 3 rounds. I think that he really puts it on him bad. I think we're talking about some really bad ground and pound, smashing him up. Possible for a submission, but Holland might be savvy there too. And there is a slight possibility that Holland shows his toughness and he survives. But if he does survive, he's going to look like that meme of Martin Lawrence. If you ever seen it, where he got stung by the bees and he's all like waxed up and swollen up. That's how his face is going to look if he survives this fight for 15 minutes. We take a look at the betting line. Khamzat Chimaev right now is a minus 550. This line opened up, I believe, right around minus 400. So some action coming in on Khamzat Chimaev here. Kevin Holland now just under a 4-1 underdog. For some of you feisty bettors out there, some of you Holland supporters, you're going to be targeting that line. You're going to lose that money, and you're better off donating it to a cause. If you want to donate it to the channel, shout out to some of you guys that shoot me donations once in a blue. Donate it to the teller. You know, we have a lot of equipment that we want to upgrade here in the studio, and there's a lot of things I want to do here. I got the green screen still coming. I'm setting all that up. I'm working on all that. Don't blow your money taking Kevin Holland, because he's going down tomorrow night. And as I said, we're smoking on this guard now, but we're going to be smoking on Big Mouth tomorrow night. And I'm going to put it on Instagram. You're going to see all the smoke fogging the room up. It's going to be all cloudy here. And you're going to see in the smoke, you're going to see little faces of Kevin Holland. We're smoking on Big Mouth. 2 of the most entertaining lightweights to ever have done it in the octagon. Of course, now they're fighting up in the welterweight division. That is what it is. I mean, these were 2 legit lightweight fighters in their primes. I mean, these guys were studs. Of course, they're no longer in their primes. Both men creeping up on 40 years old, but they do have a little bit more left in the tank. They have enough to put on a show for us tomorrow in the main event of UFC 279. I believe that 100%. Tony Ferguson, we can start by talking off with Tony. Tony coming off one of the most devastating knockout losses that I've ever seen in the history of mixed martial arts. I truly mean that. The way that his head bounced off the canvas, the way that Chandler put him out, the torque that Chandler puts into his shots. I mean, that was one of the most devastating knockout losses that I've ever seen. You know, the thing was with that loss is that Tony has a lot going on right now. I mean, Tony, it all started with the Justin Gaethje loss, right? When he lost to Justin Gaethje, he took so much punishment in that fight. He never really looked the same after that. I mean, the loss to Charles Oliveira after that, the loss to Beneil Dariush, where he was able to survive in those fights, but he just didn't look to be the same type of fighter. But in the last fight against Michael Chandler again, you see the age catching up with him. You see his defense kind of slowing down a little bit, and he's there to be hit. Nate Diaz doesn't put a lot of power into his shots, but Nate Diaz does put a lot of volume out there. I mean, he has some statistical records throughout the years. I mean, the fight against Cowboy Cerrone, I know that he broke the record at that current time. He really will put an onslaught on you, and I think that going into this fight with Nate, I think that Nate is live to touch him with the right shot that kind of shakes him up and hurts him. Maybe it's later in the fight, maybe around the 4th round, 4th round. This is the last time we're ever going to see Nate inside the octagon. I mean, come on, man. Nate Diaz, again, I've been watching Nate Diaz since The Ultimate Fighter. So, I mean, for some of you guys that are new to the sport and whatnot, I mean, I know Nate really exploded with the Conor McGregor rivalry and all that, but you know, I've been a big fan of Nate Diaz's since he was getting in fights with the Armenian on the show, and he was just a young kid. And Nick Diaz was a fighter that I was watching way before that. And I knew Nate as his little brother. Shout out to all the OGs that've been around watching the sport for a long time. But I mean, Nate is just a stud, man. He is as tough and as game as they come. Talk about having a chin. I mean, Nate is very sturdy there. I think that he should be fine avoiding any type of damage from Tony on the feet. I think this is going to be a high-paced fight. I think both men are going to bring it. And, you know, in Nate Diaz's final fight in the octagon, his farewell fight, I'm going to be picking Nate Diaz to get the job done. I'm going to be picking Nate Diaz here. I think that Tony, I know that he's on a 4-fight losing skid, and I know that it's to legit talent. I know that he lost to Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, the current champ, Beneil Dariush, who's a stud, and Michael Chandler. But again, he took a lot of damage in that Gaethje fight. He took a lot of damage in the Chandler fight. And Nate Diaz, in my opinion, is going to be pushing the pressure on him. We saw him land that big shot on Leon Edwards late. I think that he could do something similar to that, and I just don't think that Tony's going to hold up. I think that Tony's going to fold in there. I think he's going to break, and I'm a giant Tony Ferguson fan too, so let me make that clear. But I'm going to be picking the dog here. I got to give you guys a dog. Big respect to Nate Diaz, one of my favorite fighters to ever do it. And it's going to be, I'm hoping it's really going to be a show. And I will take Nate Diaz at the dog line there. It's kind of hard for me to back Ferguson at minus 130, but I do understand. I do understand that he is live to win the fight as well, right? This is a very close fight. This fight can go a variety of ways, but give me Stockton's finest, the king of the 209, Nate Diaz, to get the job done. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this little brush up for UFC 279. I'm thinking about going live right now on my IG. So if you guys are on Instagram, I mean, obviously when you hear this will be at least an hour at least by the time I edit this and upload it compared to when I go on live. But it's 11:30. I don't want to go on live too late. But again, catch me on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. Trying to spice things up over there. That's where you can keep up to date with me the best. And I'm excited for this fight card. I'm going to try to go live again tomorrow night as promised. I'm trying to stay active there. So catch me on my social media platforms on Twitter as well, the MMA Teller, where I've been really ripping the tweets out. So catch me there as well. I'm very active on Twitter these days as well. And I appreciate all you guys more than you'll ever know. That's what I always like to tell you guys, because I mean that. Big shout out to all you guys that support me here with the channel. I got some grade A haters, man. That been around for a long time too. It's crazy. I have some haters that watch all my videos. They follow me on Instagram from the very beginning, and it kind of blows my mind that you can follow somebody that you don't like. If you don't like me, while you're listening to my show, I don't really get that, man, because some of you guys come at me in my IG DMs with the hatred. But the thing that you guys don't really realize is you can never get under the teller's skin. A guy like me, it is impossible. Forget about almost. It is impossible. You can come at me in the most ruthless ways. I've been through it all. I've heard it all. And I'm sorry, but someone over the internet's just not going to get to me. But I do appreciate your guys' effort. But, and I've been good these days. I don't even retaliate like I used to, man, on you guys. It's all good. But if you're really hating on me the way that you guys are and you're still tuning in, hey, I guess deep down, we're really cool. If you're listening to my my voice caress your guys' ears, like listen to this right now. I mean, you're listening to my voice right in your ears right now. Some of you guys even got headphones on. It's deep inside there. So, you're hating on me, but I'm the one, giving it to you there. So, but again, on a more serious note, I like to poke some fun here. Much love, and I appreciate all my supporters out there. You guys, I hope you really enjoy the fights tomorrow. I really hope all you guys have a beautiful Saturday. I hope you have a beautiful afternoon leading up to the fights. Be intelligent, be smart with your bets. If you guys want to work together, of course, I'm always available. Reach out to me. But if you guys are doing your own thing, be smart, be intelligent. Don't get reckless out there. All right? On that note, signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This the MMA Fortune Teller. Yeah.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.